I just can't believe your career, how amazing it is, John. Um,
Oh,
I mean, from band to band, and you know, amazing, just amazing career.
well, thank you, thank you. It's been a lot of work, I gotta say,
Oh, I bet
but
you.
I enjoy it, and I just keep going and just continue to do stuff. I'm just, I guess, fortunate that I can just continue to work. It's gotten more difficult in the years, but more challenging. But at the same time, it's exactly that. It's more challenging, so you got to come up with more creative ideas and actually do more. So
Wow.
but it's interesting.
Very cool. Now you started early on with like doo-wop, the flamingos, and stuff like that. Was there any racial barriers in them days, like playing different, I guess, clubs or whatever, compared to now?
Absolutely. It was, well, especially at the beginning. I mean, you're talking literally when I was playing with Gary U.S. Bonds and, these kind of guys. There were, and you'd kind of go down south, and it was pretty tough. I can remember we'd have to meet Gary U.S. Bonds in certain parts of the country, and we'd tour around, and literally sometimes I'd have to stay in the truck, when we went to different truck stops. And
Right.
the rest of the band would go bring stuff out to me. Everybody thought it might have been too dangerous as you were going through some states. So, yeah, I mean, things have really, really changed. And I hate to say it, pretty quickly. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yes.
It really has changed to see that, just how things were even with the music business and radio, even in the 80s, when you couldn't get Michael Jackson on MTV.
Wow. Wow.
Now there's nothing but hip hop.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Very much so. But I mean,
You know,
I'm in an interracial marriage myself, and early on, I've been married about 14 years, and even early on, it was still going on then because like my kids are very, I'm a white guy, my wife's black, and
okay.
even when my kids are very like porcelain white, you know, and
Okay.
except my son, but like even when my wife would take, my daughter shopping, they would say, "Well, who you babysitting for?" So like things changed, but not totally behind closed doors.
I know. It really has. But like I said, I definitely can't complain. I mean, I think that things have. It's always been fairly good for me, no matter what. And but right from the beginning, I think the whole thing with the blonde mohawk, my feeling at the time was really kind of a statement of racelessness, because I never believed that there should be barriers in music from the very, very beginning.
Right.
And, the Plasmatics was a good way to, for example, express yourself in that way. I mean, because let's face it, even when I was playing with the Plasmatics, there was absolutely no black people playing rock and roll.
Right.
I mean, absolutely none. I mean, I could watch the audience grow. We'd do our first shows, and there'd be one black person in there, and then 5, and then 20, because everybody started to feel like, oh, well, if he's up there, then maybe it is all right that everybody can listen to whatever they want to listen to. And I never believed in any of that,
Right.
anyway.
So, what was your impression of Wendy O?
She was a great lady, really dedicated, a true rocker, as this exhibitionist, of course, she just had her own visions on things. She just, the Plasmatics was really a vehicle for her to be herself, as it was for all of us in the band. It came at a perfect time because I think we were all outcasts in some way, and it was a perfect vehicle to express yourself and do whatever you wanted to do, and actually be able to make a living doing it. And she was she lived for that. She lived for being in the band, for being on stage. Believe it or not, this band really worked hard. I mean, that's all we did. We, contrary to how things happened afterwards, I mean, this band, literally, we would rehearse every single day. And we looked at it as a day job. So we'd be in the studio working from like 10 a.m. to like 6 p.m. rehearsing every day, no matter what you had to rehearse. Parts for the show, when the car was going to blow up, the songs, whatever it had. But we were just in there every single day. It wasn't like, oh, here comes the tour, let's go rehearse for a couple hours for, 2 weeks before the tour happens, and then let's take 4 months off. So it was really a full-time job. So she was very dedicated, and I was really sorry to see her go. I think that maybe she no longer had that vehicle, to do this. And a lot of people, when they lose this, they just, they have nothing else.
Right. Now, you worked with, tons of musicians, Glenn Hughes, NSYNC, Doro, John Waite, Kiss. Is there anything that really stands out in your mind that you had the most fun with?
I don't want to just sound diplomatic, but it's not really the most fun, because for me, I constantly need to be surprised, motivated. I like change. I like different things, fresh things. So each one of those experiences for me just kind of fed into the whole pot, So they're very different, So, but the Kiss thing, of course, was fantastic. It was pretty crazy, just because it came from, those were my childhood heroes.
Right.
And for me to, like you said earlier, be like a little black kid living out in Long Island with no other black kids, liking rock and roll, completely out of my element.
Right.
And actually being a fan of Kiss, and then later on actually ending up working with them, was pretty intense, The Ramones were legendary to me, so that was a great experience. But then again, John Waite was a fantastic singer. Nona Hendrix in her own vein is a fantastic singer and performer. So I think I've been really fortunate to get a chance to work with a lot of great people who, sometimes, a lot of them, it took a long time for people to recognize their greatness.
Right.
Like, Debbie Harry and the Ramones and these people. It's only after the Ramones have passed away that people really see that this was a legendary group that, completely molded punk in a lot of ways,
Right.
So I wouldn't say, it's all part of one thing for me. It's it just feeds the whole.
Right.
And
Cool.
That's how I kind of see it.
How like the Kiss thing, did they approach you? Do you submit stuff? How'd that work out?
It was pure coincidence, The Plasmatics, as you know, was a pretty recognizable band. Since I was like the only black guy with blonde hair walking around America, I wasn't too hard to spot.
Right.
So it was like, I was just in New York one day going to, a club that I used to go to a lot. It was a place called Heartbreak, and it was kind of like the hangout for actors, musicians, and everything in the city. And one day, Paul walked over to me. I actually didn't recognize him. He had no makeup on.
Right.
And just said, "Hey, I'm Paul Stanley from Kiss. You're John from the Plasmatics." I said, "Yeah, I'll have blah, blah, blah. Great to meet you." So we ended up hanging out that night. We talked a bit and became friends, exchanged, numbers. And from then on, we just started kind of hanging out. It started as a friendship first.
Right.
We actually didn't talk about writing. We go out to see movies, eat, hang out, whatever, clubs, all the rest of that stuff. And then at one point, we were just hanging out at his house and pulled out a guitar and said, let's try to write something.
Cool.
And that's how it developed.
Wow.
That probably happened a year after we actually met.
Wow. Now, tell me a little bit about this PledgeMusic thing you have going on right now.
Okay. I was approached by PledgeMusic. Actually, I know one of the guys, one of the managing directors, who actually signed me to Polygram Publishing for the first Crown of Thorns record.
Right.
So I was in New York, and he wrote to me, and he said, listen, we got to get together. I want to tell you about this Pledge thing. So I listened to him at first. He told me, listen, this is a direct-to-fan platform. How many people do you have in your email address book? What do you got going on? And it kind of made me think for a second. I'm like, it's a good point. I don't have too many people in my email address book. Because coming from where we come from, where record companies were always the intermediary, we didn't do that. You had a fan club. yeah. And I know a lot of the bigger bands these days, yes, do have subscription services on their sites and blah, 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 blah. But we weren't doing that. You'd kind of put a record out. The record company would let everybody know the record's coming out. The band, everybody would read the reviews. If the reviews were good or if they liked the band, they'd go out and buy the record.
Right.
There was no direct thing going on. So it kind of made me start thinking and going, you know what, this is, with everything that's going on with record companies right now, and the fact that they can't reach the same amount of people anymore, right, unless they millions of dollars in marketing to get to these people. All these big artists, the Rihannas and everything else. I mean, they've got to have ads on JetBlue. I mean, they got to go. There's a million things they're doing to get your attention, and that kind of spend. Most of the time, those record companies are spending more money trying to get to the people than they actually make selling the record.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
I said, this is something that we need to really look at, is to develop a direct-to-fan relationship where you get people to, become a part of your thing. So I started the exercise and just basically started to try to gather email addresses, et cetera, which I realized was a lot more difficult than you thought, because you realize, okay, your first record, solo record, sold 1 million and something records, but where are those people? You have no idea.
Right.
There's no central place to go, okay, where are the Million Jumbo Buff guys? You don't know,
Right.
So that's kind of what started the whole thing, and I just thought it was a really good idea. And so we decided to go with it. It's not easy, as I'm seeing. It's because to actually find your people who actually bought the records before is not easy, because you still need to find them like the big record companies would do with marketing plans that cost millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
But once you actually, I think in the end of the day, once you find your dedicated fans that are into what you're doing, it's a much more organic and better thing where you can directly relate to the fans, get opinions from the fans as far as what you're doing, get their real thoughts, and I think then it's the future.
Cool.
I really believe.
Very cool.
So that's what we're doing with this pledge campaign. We're launching a pledge campaign we've launched a pledge campaign for Crown of Thorns EP to start, and offering incentives. I'm doing updates, etc., to try to educate people on different things that you've done, since I realized that my fan base is pretty segregated. You've got Kiss fans that don't know you did Ramones don't know that you did that, solo people don't know you did Kiss. I mean, so it's kind of all over the place.
Right.
And so I'm trying to get everybody on the same page, and and by joining this pledge campaign, they can get a whole history lesson on what I've done and get involved in the making of a new EP.
Cool. And how's the new EP coming along?
Well, the way it works, I don't know if you're that familiar with Pledge, is that first you get everybody on board, and people end up pledging until you reach a target amount. So
right.
You set a target amount of, whatever it is for the EP. But you actually don't, I start ahead of time anyways, because I'm always in the studio.
Right.
But you actually don't start recording and bringing the band in from everywhere, because you got my band especially. The guys are in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Texas.
Yeah.
And so you don't start bringing everybody in and finish the recording until you've reached your target and have been allocated.
Okay, cool.
So it kind of becomes a thing. I was just speaking to somebody in the UK the other day about the same thing. It becomes something where you're almost telling the fans, if you want a new record, we're asking you to kind of, pledge and get involved and pre-order the record.
Right.
So that band can make the record.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
You know what I'm saying? And if there aren't enough people interested in the record being made, then the record doesn't get made.
Wow.
So it kind of saved the whole thing of putting out the record and crossing your fingers to see who's going to buy it.
Right, definitely.
Very
cool.
That's
wow. You also have a foundation. Is that still going on?
Yes. It's something that's been going on for years, actually. I mean, my family's been very involved with Haiti for 20-some, more. My dad moved back down to Haiti. He was living in the States here, moved back down to Haiti probably 30 years ago, and has always been very involved in community activism, just with schooling and, bringing electricity to regions of of Haiti because he was an engineer, and pretty much controlled because he passed away, a whole section of really trying to better that area. My mom's always been involved in hospitalization. She helped to build one of the great hospitals in Haiti, and we housed a medical clinic on a property that she had for past 20 years. Unfortunately, that was destroyed in the earthquake.
Wow.
So when my mom passed away as well, I took over, the clinics, and of course they got destroyed afterwards. So the foundation was basically to try to rebuild the clinic, and we're going to see where that goes. I mean, I haven't been spending that much time with fundraising. I got so much to do that running around fundraising has been difficult. But besides that, we do partnerships. Like, for example, there's a company called Clean the World. So we've done where they recycle soap from hotels, because all the hotels throw out all the soap all the time.
Right.
So they came up with a great plan to have all that soap delivered to their warehouse and recycle it. And we would help and facilitate getting that soap delivered, throughout Haiti and different places. We've done things like that. There's a company called a foundation called My Neighbor's Children, so we partner with them. They work with orphanages and schools. So we do different things. So besides trying to raise money to rebuild this clinic, which has been a little slow, because there's been so much bad press on Haiti,
right,
and foundations that have gone down there, and pretty much all this money has been pledged to Haiti, and then as soon as the money goes into a lot of these agencies, it ends up going to pay staff in other countries,
right,
and actually gets to Haiti. So people have been pretty leery about investing down there. But anyways, so we're working on that, and at the same time, anything that comes in, we, work with these other foundations to keep their things going as well.
Cool. You have any projects in the works right now?
Well, Crown of Thorns EP is one. I do a lot of songwriting on the side, which you know.
Right.
So actually, I actually wrote a track for an Asian group, because Asia right now is a very big market. My publisher is very fond of Asia. They're still selling a lot of physical records because they still do these fantastic packages, and it's kind of like what metal bands used to do in the past here. Right. But these Asians, they have packages with DVDs and the size of vinyl albums, full color, and videos are fantastic. So I've got one track coming out with a group called Shiny, which is a very big group out of Korea. They sell a couple of million records, so that's one thing. I just got to cut on a Chinese album, Chinese star, and that these days with so many people over there,
right,
it's pretty serious. I just got an offer for a film. It's kind of a sci-fi film, so I'm actually going to go up to New York and go check that out in December with the director and see where that goes. What else am I doing? I do things to help new artists. So I have an ESPN kind of music search going on where myself and ESPN pick 10 songs a month to be featured on a show called Unite, which is the midnight talk show, ESPN's new kind of college talk show. So I've got a lot of songs to listen to. So, matter of fact, I've got 100 I still have to listen to in the next couple of days here. And then from there, we choose a certain amount to be featured. Let me see. So, and then just a lot of co-writing, especially now with the internet age. I do a lot of co-writing where people send things to me, right, and I just do certain things with it and then send it back and send back the finished song from here. So I'm sure I'm forgetting some things because right, I'm working the clock. So yeah, Pledge, ESPN, co-writing. I was just in Norway not too long ago judging a national songwriting competition, where the winner of that competition, because there are a lot of great talent coming out of there. So the winner ends up getting a publishing deal with Universal Music Publishing.
Cool.
And yeah, and that's about it for the moment.
Cool.
So I think.
When do you take a vacation?
I actually haven't taken a vacation in a while. I'm about to. I actually have a surgery coming up.
Wow.
So it's a surgery. It's not any big deal. Or at least I didn't think it was a big deal, but it looks like I might be down for a minute. So that'll be kind of a forced vacation.
Wow.
Even though I'm sure I'll be recording and working.
Wow.
And
Cool.
I don't vacation much. I can't remember the last one, if you want to know the truth.
Wow. Well, I congratulate you on your career. Well, what an amazing career you have so far, and more to go too. So, you know, I definitely thank you for talking to me. And would you like to say anything to your fans out there?
Well, I mean, thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. Myself, the band, Crown of Thorns, you know, and just continue to keep your eyes open. Stay tuned. There's more coming up. It'd be great if you get involved with this pledge campaign. It's really a great way for you to get involved in what I'm doing and get a more personal backstage insider's look at how all this, you know, all this happens. And then that's it. And, you know, keep your eyes open, ears open. There's more coming.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right?
Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.